I know what my audience like. I did some independent films with Master P, and a lot of those movies did really well.
I'm ambitious, I'm a hustler. I have my own lane.
That's the thing about comedy. You wake up every day, you don't know if you're funny that day.
That's why, okay, the trackpad batteries is low. I'm wondering, I'm like, do I got my G's? Why the joint? Am I lagging? I'm lagging. Hey, what's good with y'all, man? Good to see y'all. I didn't know y'all was right there. Welcome to the program. It's Let's Go Live with Lamont King. I'm Lamont King, and we are now live. Let's go. Something like a podcast every Monday through Friday, 6 p.m., 7 p.m. East Coast time. Lord willing. Shout out to everybody watching right now on the West Coast and worldwide. Good to see you. Something like a podcast broadcasting live from the newly remodeled Drunken Fruit Studios.
I don't care if it is a closet. You still looking mad efficient.
Thanks, Lord Jamal. Appreciate it. You know what I mean? The Godcast. I need to get on their show again. I think enough time has passed. Get on there, shoot shit. They're getting real high profile now. I need to do that. Get back on the joint. All right, trending topics, hilarious commentary, celebrity interviews, and interesting people. And we're going to hit one of those at some point today. We are 100% viewer supported or funded by viewer support by viewers like you. And what that means is whenever you hear one of these or at any good moment during the show where you feel like, hey, man, I like what they're doing over there, feel free to patronize us, man. $ Lamont King 06. All money is going to production costs and to further expand our brand and build this endeavor, this whole operation. Yeah. Peanut Gallery, what up? Thumbs up on the check-in. Good to see y'all. Oh, is the mic sounding crisp? Oh, you know what? I had made some changes, and I haven't changed it since then. I can hear it, too. I see John Watson. Shout out John Watson, all fun and games. Mr. Clarkson, our executive producer, down the hall in Studio G. So I can hear it. It's real crisp. I changed the settings on the mic when I did my mukbang the other day. When I did the ASMR. You know, when I did that, y'all seen that with the celeries and carrots. And I didn't change it back. So now it's real crispy and full, as Karen Hunter says, full-throated. It's like I ain't even gotta be close to the joint. And you can hear my whole everything. That's what's up. Should I change it back? Is it too much? Is it too much in your ear hole? Okay. All right, let me know. Because I'll put it back if I need be. Say hello to my man, Crispus. It's our mascot. No, that's too offensive. Not a mascot. He's the face of the show. Co-host and the face of the show. Crispus, my man. What's good with you, Chris? What's up with you, nigga? That's how he talks. All right. Okay, I need Lamont to roast a bird. I got the size. What are we talking about? Thanksgiving dinner? Ain't no Thanksgiving, B. Ain't no motherfucker. What is Christmas holding? Christmas is all about that 2A. So that's what that is. He's protecting the house. We must protect this house. Deacons for defense, if you will. All right. Let's see. All right. So y'all say keep the settings. All right. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I want to keep him as mascot because mascot is so offensive. It's such a dated term. And looking like that and holding the way he holding, I'm not one to take a shit on Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Hey, the day before Christmas got here, was that Christmas Eve? No. All right. That should, that just jumped in. Haynes says crafting a check. Hey, yeah, your other donation, it came through 6 months later. But it bounced. So I don't know how that works. He bounced the Cash App. That's complete fraud, but I appreciate you for even trying, making the effort. All right. Where we at? We got a guest coming soon. So we'll see what that's about. A couple stories real quick that you might not know about. One is really unfortunate, and I'm gonna save it until later because we got to dig into it, unpack it, break it down. It's a think piece. For those of you thinking about traveling, this one really might put a I don't want to be the one to bring the bad news, but gee, I read this story and I was like, I have to read this whole thing on the show, not snippet, not skim. I got to read the whole thing because it's a science fair. It reads like a a science fiction mystery gone wrong. And we're gonna get to that later. Also, Roland Martin scheduled to be here a little later as well. First story, if I can get it to Mike Tyson and Mayweather. I thought this was interesting. Of course, the headline is more than the story, but however, I think the story is still interesting. They had at some convention, middleweight convention this weekend, and Floyd was there, and Mike showed up, and they had kind of a thing, but not really, but enough to write a story about. But Tyson was quoted as saying something that I thought that was pretty deep, so that's why I wanted to make this a story. Christmas Eve, thank you. Let's see. Jay Lee, I'm still going to travel regardless. Of course you are, on your private jet. I'm in LA now. That's what's up. Hey, live, do you. Don't let, you know what I'm saying? Don't let none of this slow you down if it doesn't have to. Everybody's different. I ain't going to tell y'all what not and what to do, but I think this story that I'm going to get into later is just really, really interesting. Meanwhile, let's look at this real quick while we move into the show and invite our guest in. This is so Mike Tyson. We're gonna read this real quick because I thought this was deep. Mike Tyson be saying some heavy stuff now, and I feel like he was always heavy, but he got that grown man introspective, not as doped up. I be thinking about stuff. What's your life like? Type of move. So this is the picture, right? So apparently, here's the headline: Mike Tyson aggressively swings at Floyd. And Floyd doesn't even flint. Non-story, complete. And even in the picture, they do that. That's what they do. You come in like, you give them one of those. That's the sound that go with it too. You do that. But here's what I thought was interesting. So this is courtesy of sportbible.com. Never heard of y'all. Mike Tyson has never been one to hold back on speaking out. Floyd Mayweather. I don't know if you know. So let me give you some backstory. Floyd and Mike, two totally different age groups and weight classes, but they've been over the history of their careers or Floyd's careers. They've had a difference of opinion that sometimes went public. So Tyson is even quoted as saying that, the primetime Mike Tyson would kick Floyd's ass in public. And Floyd one time said that he was better than Muhammad Ali in his prime, and Mike Tyson was like, basically, don't you never say no craziness out your mouth like that again. And here's why. This is what I liked about this. This is why I brought this story in. The 54-year-old also slammed the undefeated boxer for believing he's better than the great Muhammad Ali ever was. He's very delusional. Okay, this is Tyson. He's very delusional. Listen, if he was anywhere near that realm of greatness as Muhammad Ali, he'd be able to take his kids to school by himself. Okay, the man can't even take his kids to school by himself. And he's talking about he's great. Greatness is not guarding yourself from the people. It's being accepted by the people. He can't take his kids alone to school by himself. What are you thinking? What are you talking about? He's a scared little man. He's a very small, scared man. All right, that's my Tyson. I think the new settings on the mic really, that helped. I sounded like him while I'm listening. But anyway, I thought that was heavy. That's deep. He said basically, Floyd, if you anywhere the man that you think you are, you'll be able to take your kids to school by yourself. You can't do that because you presented yourself in such a way where you got to move around with protection. The real G that Muhammad Ali was, he was his own protection. He didn't need that because he was of the people. I thought that was heavy. That's a heavy assessment, man. Shout out to Tyson for that one. So anyway, it was at this WBC convention at the Mirage Hotel and Casino, I guess promoting some upcoming stuff where they've met, shook hands, and Tyson entered the room and the room went crazy. He walked up on him, they said, "What's up?" And then he kept it moving. So that's the end of the story. So like I said, non-story. However, I appreciated his take on that. And right here, looked like he's sunning him. Lightweight sunning him. Pun intended. So there's that. I just thought that was deep. I kind of feel for. I'm always a fan of Tyson. I don't care what happened. All right, let's keep it moving. We'll get to the other stories momentarily, but right about now, let me tell y'all a little story. Make sure I write this right, so we'll know who we talking to. So a few weeks ago, we had a newcomer to the show, to the Peanut Gallery. Shout out to Peanut Gallery. Thumbs up to all my regulars. No shout outs if you don't bring anybody. So I'm not going to say your name individually. It's not going to happen. This young lady jumped in on the conversation and was like, "What's good?" And blah, blah, blah. This is what's up. And then later on, she became a patron and donated to the show as an underwriter. And so I was like, "Well, come on, Jolie, what do you do? Let's talk about it." And doing some further back and forth and a little bit of research. She's an attorney and a professional speaker, and I'll let her tell. This is a live show. We ain't never met. So please welcome to the show. I'll let her tell her, run down her resume and her credits. Please welcome to the show, Ikie Speaks. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. How you doing today?
I'm good. All right. So what should I call you? How do you pronounce your name?
It's Ikesha, but everybody calls me Ikie.
Okay. All right. So we're going live with Ikie Speaks.
How's my audio? You can hear me. You can see me. I'm all right.
Oh yeah, you live and clear, and you at work too, which is major.
Now I'm home. This is the home office.
Oh, the home office.
Excuse it. It's a little janky, but
no, it actually looks official. I see the caseload on the right, and I figured you was at some type of
for sure
institution right there.
For sure.
That's look like when you watch it, cold. For those of us who are not in the business, a cold case. I watched the cold case, and they're like, "We'll bring in the files." And they bring in those joints instead of the desk. I quit. You know what I'm saying? That's what's up. All right, so tell us what you do.
So I'm a criminal defense attorney here in New York. I'm a former prosecutor too, so there's that part.
Oh, right on it. I was guessing.
A lot of slack for that part. I was a Manhattan prosecutor for 5 years. I grew up in South Jamaica, Queens, so I came out of drugs, and they put me in narcotics when I got to the DA's office. So I did that for about 5 years, and I've been doing criminal defense work ever since. I'm also an adjunct professor at City Tech in the paralegal studies department. So I'm
City Tech,
a little author here and there. I got a little book called Black Girl Slim. It's on Amazon, and I'm a mom. More important than anything else, I'm a mom of 2 sons, 25 and 17.
Okay,
I'm almost done.
Sounds good. Wait a minute, let's pull out a Black Girl's what now?
Black Girl Slim.
Slim?
Slim. Black Girl Slim.
Is that like one of those hood novellas?
Nah, no, I'm actually working on that now. No, that's really just my way of talking to women about our weight.
Don't be fat, be first. Is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I'm pulling it
Black
up.
women, 4 out of 5 of us are overweight or obese. And
Okay.
so I wrote the book to address that issue as we are so successful in everything else. We
Mm.
are so successful. We're leading in education and in so many other areas, but we're also leading in heart disease and diabetes and all of the negative stuff. So that book is my journey about my weight loss and how I became successful at being slim and
Oh,
healthy, of course. And healthy.
awesome. So that's you right there. So were you did you compete? You
So
compete?
I competed for 5 years. I was a physique competitor.
Uh-huh.
And so yeah, that's part of the journey too. So yeah.
Okay, hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is a live show. This is all happening in real time. You dig me? All right. So City Tech, is that a CUNY or is that a SUNY or a CUNY? I always just want. I
That
like
is
saying.
CUNY. That is New
Okay.
York City College of Technology. They are the only CUNY college that has a 4-year degree program for paralegal studies, and I work in the
Okay.
paralegal studies department. So yeah, I'm
Nice
a
work,
CUNY grad too. John Jay.
John Jay. You
Yeah.
know, my first man, I got a story for everything. It was small world. My first performance in New York was at John Jay.
Nice.
It
Nice.
was, yeah, it was I don't know how I got it's like 03, 02 maybe, and I was in the auditorium and
Yes.
I got on the bus, went up there and did comedy, and they paid me well. I was like, oh, is this how colleges do? I was
Nice.
like,
I acted at the J too, so I've been on that stage.
yeah, John Jay. Okay, that's where 2 years ago, a friend of mine went to
Right.
John Jay University. That's the Run DMC giant. Okay. All right, we're just building context right here. We're getting context right here.
Right.
So, how do you manage, promoting the book, raising the sons, being a criminal defense attorney,
Yeah.
and being a professor? How's that working during the pandemic?
It's difficult now because everything's online. Courts are shut down for the most part, so all of our stuff is virtual, which is everything virtual. Classes are virtual as well. So that sucks. But my oldest son is a senior in high school. He's all virtual as well. It sucks. It really reduces the ability to have the exchanges that you need to have in college. It's all about exchanging ideas, and we got kids who won't turn on their damn cameras, so they're not
Right.
exchanging a damn thing. It's tough. It's been the most challenging semester I've had. And I've taught law school as well. I taught 5 years at my alma mater, New York Law School, before going to undergrad to teach. And it's a different animal. It is really a different animal. This pandemic has really done a disservice to these students, but we do what we can.
I was with a couple of educators this weekend, and we were joking. And even Karen Hunter, we joke about just washing this year.
Yeah.
Like, and just really starting over. And people say, well, what happens if you're just older, you're a 19-year-old senior? I was like, well, then you'll just be a 19-year-old senior. You
Right.
just don't worry about the age.
Right. It's bad. But in addition to all of that, I also am a legal informationist. I also have a YouTube channel and a Facebook platform where I do videos to try to educate the public on what their rights are. But it's obviously relative to New York because I'm a New York attorney.
Right.
I try to give people general information that might be applicable in their own states. The goal is to get home to survive the encounter so that people understand what their rights are and they're not sitting there going, I know my rights, and you dead ass wrong.
Now, do those cases come across your desk? Are those the cases that you deal with?
All the time. All
Okay.
the time, whether I'm dealing with them as somebody I'm representing or if I'm just watching a video. Like they had the video, I don't remember the guy who was at the door and the police came to the door and they wanted to do a wellness check. And he was like, my son is fine. He in the room. You can't come in. You can't come in. And everyone thought he was right. You can't come in here. You don't have a warrant. But there are exceptions to all the rules you think you can stand on. There are exceptions to the warrant requirement, and one of them is an exigent circumstance for which they think someone might be injured. They don't need a warrant. Get the fuck out the way. They get to come in, and they came in, right? And so we could reduce some of this if we were just informed, right?
Well, who in that scenario though? Who determines the exigent circumstances?
The person who called. So the police said that they got a call.
Yeah, but Karen's is making them calls all day though.
Yeah, that's the thing though. You never know what's in the mind of the police officer, and that's the standard that we go by. It's very subjective standard, and I know that, but that's the way it works. If they say we got a call that someone is injured in this apartment, I mean, are we supposed to just say, you get to ignore those calls? Or you're lying. You didn't get that call.
Is there room for that standard to change?
Probably not.
Ever?
Ever. Not when it comes to the warrant requirement and the exceptions. Remember, there are exceptions like if I'm chasing a suspect. If a police officer is chasing a suspect and that suspect runs in your home, they don't stop at your front door. They don't like, excuse me, could you let us in because we was chasing this guy?
That makes sense.
You understand?
So what about the one?
Or if say you was a wife beater, right? You beating your wife ass, and the cops come to the door because the neighbor called because she was screaming, and he comes to the door. She fine. And police supposed to be like, all right.
In the example you gave, what happened? What necessitated that call? Do you remember?
Someone called and said that there was some sort of something happening in the apartment. Somebody might be hurt.
Okay.
Inside the apartment, and they wanted to do a check to make sure nobody was hurt inside the apartment, and that whoever was in the apartment was not injured. And he was refusing to allow them access, and they gained access.
Did you see the one where they chased the young boy on his porch? He had arrived at home and was trying to get in. Now, what's your take on that one? Was that accident?
So I tell my thing is to follow the 5 R's. Right? The 5 R's: don't run, don't reach, don't react, request the lawyer, remain silent. I'm gonna say that. Don't run. Don't fucking run. These cops will shoot you in the back. We've seen it every time. All right? Don't run. Don't react, because this is what we are. We react. Get the fuck off me. But I know
that's human nature, though. Fight or flee.
But you have to control that. We gotta recognize that. This is a weapon.
Mm-hmm. To them.
And it might not, it's not right. That's not right, Ikie. Well, you could live in the world as you want it to be, or you could live in the world as it is. Right? And so it's not right, but this is our reality. So let's operate within those confines. Let's operate in those parameters, because that's what the reality says.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so in those instances, you can't run. And so he ran. That was his first mistake. And
he ran from his driveway to his front porch.
I know, but when you run to your home and I know this sucks because you have to put yourself in the place of a police officer. When you are home, that is where you are the most safe. And you likely feel the most safe because that's where you have your own maybe gun or weapon or whatever may have you. So running to your home might be for you a safe haven, a beacon. But for them, that only escalates what you might have access to. You know what I'm saying? So, and is it a guarantee if you don't run, you don't get shot? No, Philando Castro, he did everything right. He still got shot. These things will only minimize, minimize. Okay. There's no guarantees.
I can respect that. Because there are some people who take the position like the things that you're saying are the absolute solves, and we know that they're not.
Right.
So I can take that. But the running piece, it always it always strikes me interesting how people take into consideration how law enforcement feels in that moment, but they never take into consideration how the person that they're dealing with feels in that moment.
Right.
And
that's not part of the training.
That's what I was asking. So that's what I was asking. Will that ever change? Could that be the thing that could change?
Yes, that needs to change. There needs to be training. Like, these cops need to understand we're in a different climate now. We have kids that are walking around with earbuds in. You can't tell that they have earbuds in. They got a hoodie on. You think that they're not responding to your commands. They don't even know you're giving them. You know what I mean? They don't understand that when you grab a person, it may be reactionary for them to jerk back. That's not resisting. That's a fight or flight response.
Right.
Inherent is what people do. So this type of training, that aspect of it, we need to have that. We don't have that. It's too police centered the way it is now.
So let's go over it. Don't run. Don't react. Request a lawyer.
Don't reach.
Don't reach. But that should be.
It's not, because
it's not. Yeah.
You pulled over.
Yeah.
Right? And the police come to the window. You don't even think to ask or announce your movement. You're like, okay, they say you want your driver's license. You go reach. You go reach. You might reach for your glove box. You reach for the center console. You reach for your pocketbook. You're reaching. Don't reach unless you announce your actions. All right, police officer, you want to see my license? Is over here. I'm gonna reach over here. I'm gonna get it out of the box. All right. It's a shame that you got to do that, but it'll keep, it's one of the things that is hopefully will keep you safer.
All right, we're talking now with criminal defense attorney Ikie Speaks live on the show today. From the Peanut Gallery, Haynes from the West Coast wants to know, what's your stance on civil sovereignty?
Well, if anybody on here who follows me know that's some bullshit. So there is a movement, the civil sovereignty movement. We saw how well that went for Corinne Gaines. If you remember, that was the sister who was traveling with cardboard license plates because she was under the impression that she had the right to travel. And this is some of the things, the tenets that are spewed by people who adopt this sovereign mentality, that you're not subjected to the laws of this country because you're not a citizen. Right. I reject that wholeheartedly. I've seen the arguments being made in court, and I've seen the judges shut these people down unceremoniously. So it really doesn't have any place in American law. I don't see it being effective in any way, whether you're talking about sovereignty or status correction or any of that. It doesn't work.
I have seen some wins. I have some. I got into it a few years ago, and I was really reading heavy into it, and the Moors and and the civil sovereigns and whatnot. And so I'll tell you a quick funny story. So I read this one pamphlet. It was a pamphlet. I should have known by that, and it was talking how to absolve your student loan debt. But the way they broke it down made sense. Right. They're talking about your straw man and fictitious entity, and these laws aren't laws; they're statutes, and you on foreign soil, and it's a foreign government. I was like, bet. So I handwrote. They said handwrite and ask for your original signature. And if they can't produce your original signature, and my loan was well over 25 years ago, and I was like, I know they don't have that. And so they said, write the handwritten letter because by law, the handwritten letter will stand up, blah, 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 and ask for, 10 days later, not even a full 2 weeks, man, they sent me a photocopy image of me signing the shit. I was like, damn. They was like, so how would you like to make any adjustment to your payment plan for your student loan? How you want to continue? I was like, damn.
But you know what, Lamont? That's not even a status correction thing. That's standard credit debtor shit. Yeah. That's standard. And you get your credit report and they can't demonstrate that you owe that debt. They gotta remove that shit. Yeah. That ain't nothing to do with status correction, but they couch it in such a way that it looks like it's a part of it, and it's not.
Well, there are some things, I think, like you said, it's convoluted because I've seen some things in writing, like with my own eyes, where they were, Maryland, for example, was a state. I've seen this where if you could prove your indigenous bloodline,
yes,
they wiped away your mortgage.
So it
exists some places.
Yeah, but that's different because there are laws that recognize indigenous people, certain indigenous people that fall under certain treaties that have certain sovereignty. Right. But the movement for the sovereigns, a lot of the Moors are saying that they are descendants of Morocco, northern Morocco. What? And you are supposed to be under the treaty of, I think it's the friendship treaty, something to that. Forget the
yeah. But
you can't trace your shit to Africa. You can't trace your shit to.
Well, what if there was a small chance that was shown to be legitimate, but it's just been covered up all these years? It's possible.
Then you can get that status. If you can demonstrate that you have an ancestor, you have a bloodline tied to Native Americans or any other protected population, really just the Native Americans as far as I know, then you might qualify for some of those benefits.
Okay.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah, because once I did that, I ran out of steam. I was like, I can't fight this fight. they had me signing the paperwork. But I saw one YouTube video with a dude, he had the feds on, and he was in court. He was in traffic court. Okay. And he was like, dude, they asked to your representation. He said, I represent myself as a sovereign. And he said, this country has no laws that that I have to blah, 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 blah. And he got off. It got dismissed. I don't know if they were just annoyed by him or but it looked like it worked though.
Well, here's a couple things. One, most of the judges are very familiar with sovereign citizens, and they know that part of their shtick is to just waste the court's time. We don't have time for that. And I've sat in the courtroom like, seriously, how long you gonna put up with this, judge? Come on, right? I've been there. But traffic tickets often are dismissed on technicalities.
Okay.
The littlest thing, if it's wrong, and a lot of people don't know how to read a traffic ticket, so you don't know what should be there and what shouldn't be there.
Right.
And so it could have been something that was a technicality, right? You know, and then it just looks like he was victorious in his status correction approach.
Now, let's talk about the things that you're doing now. Are you Southern District? It seems like that's the only thing we know. Are you where Letitia James is?
Yes, I'm in New York City. I practice in all the state courts and in the federal courts, which includes the Southern District of New York and the Eastern District of New York.
Okay.
So Eastern covers Brooklyn, Long Island. The Southern covers Manhattan, the Bronx.
So the big money question is your man delaying leaving the White House because he's fearing prosecution?
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
I think he's delaying because he is trying to get the states to miss the safe harbor date, right? So we got to go back a little bit. So there is the Constitution, Article 2, which specifies that the election, all of these states have to have their election results certified. Everything has to be resolved. That is all the court cases, any challenges, any recounts, all that shit has to be done by the safe harbor date. The safe harbor date is set by the Constitution to be 6 days before the electoral vote, right? Okay. The electoral vote this year is set for December 14th. So the safe harbor date necessarily is December 8th. So all of these elections have to be certified by December 8th. That's the outside date.
And if not,
if
not, okay.
If not, okay, so first, the states have their own dates, right? So think about it. We have 51 different elections. Every state has their own election, and every state has the sovereignty to govern how their election is administered, right? Their votes and all of that shit. Okay, so some states have till December 1st to certify the election based on their state statutory law. But it all has to be done by December 8th, and if it's not, then the state that is not certified will lose its right to cast the electoral votes pursuant to their state statute. Meaning, so say for instance, a state like Michigan, right, they're going through some things, right? Say for instance, they don't meet it by the deadline. Well, then the legislature in Michigan will get to decide how Michigan's electoral votes are cast. And it doesn't have to be by the popular vote. There is no law. And then you have to account for the faithless electors. There are people who they're supposed to vote for Biden, but fuck it, I'll pay $1,000 fine because there's really no teeth.
Oh, wow.
For you to not vote the way you're supposed to vote.
Right.
There's no real penalty there, right? Some states have no penalty. Some states have $1,000 fine, but that's the max that I've seen so far. How
would they know if you didn't do what you're supposed to do if that's a private move? Is that a?
What you mean?
Like you saying the electorate might cast the vote against what it was supposed to do. How would one know? How would anybody outside?
Oh, it's not private. The electoral vote is not private.
Okay, got it. Okay.
On December 14th, no, that's not private. That's how we know that in 2016, there were at least 2 faithless electors that didn't vote for Trump. Remember, he projected 306, but he only got 304. So
in essence, he's dragging it out like Georgia. They're talking about recounting again. And
yeah, well, he's entitled to a recount after certification. And that's another thing that people get confused about. So there's a lot that happens with the election. There's the canvassing after the actual election. They then have to canvass, and then they have to audit all of those votes, right? Then they did a recount of that. Then they certify. Once the election is certified, then the candidate who lost has the right to demand a recount. And that's where we are now.
So what's the chances of December 8th, if him stretching it to the 8th? And one of those that have already called but not been certified,
right,
switches. What's the chances of that?
is it's
still possible.
2020.
It's still possible.
Anything is fucking possible. It's 2020.
Yeah, well.
You know what I mean? I don't want to. I'm not comfortable. Let me put it like that. I'm not comfortable.
Wow.
I'm not comfortable, and I'm really not comfortable with most of the Democrats' approach to this. Like, for instance, you know, a lot of people have been talking about this woman named Emily from the GSA. So the General Services Administration is this agency that is charged with facilitating the transition. This is federal law, and by statute, there is a Presidential Transition Act, which says that this agency has to fund the transition. They have to give money to Joe Biden's team so that they could vet and they could do background checks, they could get security clearances, all of the shit that needs to be done in order for you to assume the job on day one, January 20th. Right?
Keys and all
None
of
of
that.
this is happening. But nobody is suing the GSA. Nobody brought, like, Trump is suing everything that moves. The Democrats is like, well, we might consider. What the fuck? What y'all waiting for?
Well, apparently, according to the peanut gallery, that he's agreed to the transition process to start it.
Who agreed? Breaking news.
Yeah.
Trump allows Biden's transition team to transition.
apparently that's happening right now.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true.
I'm gonna have to Google it in a moment. But
Yeah,
with that breakdown, that's a very intricate and comprehensive thought process. Is that something I just don't believe he's capable of being that intricate? Who's in there really moving this train?
Stephen Miller, Jared Kushner. I think those are some of the, or at least two of the main ones that are driving the train. I think Giuliani just goes with what they tell him to go with because he hasn't been in federal court in 30 years. And, you know, that was a whole disaster. He didn't even know what opacity meant. Did you see that part?
No, I didn't.
So he was reading a part of the brief in which he was arguing that the Republican observers were not given opportunity to observe the ballots, like the mail-in ballots. They weren't given opportunity to observe them being open and the signatures being matched and all of that. And he was arguing they were denied observation and they were denied opacity. And he said, well, I don't really know what that means. I think that means
transparency.
He told the judge, I think that means you can see. Said, okay. Actually, it means you can't. Was bad.
He was leaking. I think that was brain leak.
Yes.
I call him Giuliani now.
Did you catch when he blew his nose and then shit on the outside? He wiped his whole face.
Something ain't right with these people. I mean, I guarantee you.
So they've gotten rid of the Sidney Powell woman.
Okay.
They've gotten rid of her. She was a part of the marathon press conference in which she laid out all of these allegations about these conspiracies with Hugo Chavez, and it was bizarre. And the next day they said she's no longer part of the team.
Now, do these people, quote unquote, co-conspirators, man, are they gonna catch charges? Like all these people that just, lying, right, just up front and just lying with these heavy positions, high profile lying. What happens to them? It's a lot of them.
No, nothing will happen to them. Nothing will happen to them. They will fade into obscurity if we are lucky. If we are fortunate, we won't have to hear from them ever again, but there will be no charges. And Biden, his approach so far has been, I don't really want to deal with any of that. So I don't see his administration pursuing anyone from the Trump administration in any meaningful way.
Yeah, I saw a written piece last week and I spoke about it, but I only saw it in one place. I wasn't sure if it was true or not, where it said he has no intention of using his DOJ to go after anyone. He said that. And I was like, I hope that's not true. You got to get one.
I think that's accurate.
You got to get, so y'all wouldn't do that on your own, the Southern District of New York? You wouldn't just be like, oh, nah, this was egregious. We're going after a couple of y'all got to get it.
It's possible that the Southern could go after him, but, he also could be negotiating a pardon like Nixon did with Ford, right? So if the past is prologue, then we understand that he might. But unfortunately for him, that won't do shit for Tish James because federal pardons do nothing for state cases.
Okay.
Right. So, yeah. I don't think it would be the Southern. I think it would be the Attorney General here in New York who gets him on probably taxes or something to that effect.
All right, there it is. Hey, I appreciate your energy, your expertise. I would love
Thank
to
you
have you
for
on the
having
show.
me. Thank
I
you
would
for
love to have
having
you on the show on a regular basis if you're interested.
me. I'm definitely interested.
Okay,
Absolutely.
we're gonna do it. We're gonna set it up. Ikie Speaks. The book is. I'm calling her Ikie Speaks, but y'all can see the book is. Hold on, bring it up again. Black Girl Slim. Don't be fat, be first.
Yes.
By Akeisha Al-Shabazz.
Yes.
There it is, and it's available on Amazon. Make it blow it up a little bit. So, do you compete anymore?
I haven't competed. I'm thinking about getting back on stage for my 50th.
Oh, well, look at that.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I'm dating myself, but yeah. So I'm thinking about it.
Nah, black don't crack. You don't look
That's
it.
right,
So,
baby.
yeah. you not really dating yourself, because who knew? Who would have known?
Hey.
All right, here it is. Ikie Speaks. I appreciate you coming on once again.
Thank you for having me. All right, take care. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Oh, likewise. Good stuff, man. Yeah, we'll definitely do that again. That get that real, just shooting, pow, 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 pow. Information. That's what I like. That's what we're here for, y'all. That was in real time. I ain't never met her. We met her at the same time. You understand me? But yeah, that's the good insider information right there. Oh, so let's go to this. And I appreciate y'all for being, on it too. So Washington Post, let's go to Washington Post. Trump agrees. Let me just Google. Trump agrees to transition and see what pops up. 2020, man. It just don't stop. New York Times. Let's go with the New York Times. Let's stay in New York. Why not? Trump again says, because you know what? The reason why I wouldn't really want to jump to that, because I was like, the man could be lying. Oh, this one of them sites where you gotta subscribe. Hold on, let me find another one. Y'all tripping. Y'all don't realize I'm doing a show. CNN. No, that's old. GSA opens doors for Biden transition. That's just what she was talking about. All right, let's go here. This NBC News affiliate somewhere. Who knows? I don't know what state it is, but let's read it together. All right, stand by. Y'all be patient. I appreciate y'all patience. Good looking group we got today. Can't see none of you motherfuckers. All right, here we go. GSA opens this November 20th. That's today. News Center 1. GSA opens door for Biden transition, just like she talked about. All right, according to Washington, the General Services Administration has determined that the president-elect Joe Biden's, that's right, Joe Biden's, is the apparent winner of the November 3rd election and will allow the Biden-Harris transition team to begin making official preparations for the new administration. So is this the GSA doing it on their own, or is this Trump saying green light? President Donald Trump, that's my question. President Donald Trump, who has refused to concede the election, said Monday that he is directing, it's him. He is directing his team to cooperate on the transition, but is vowing to keep up the fight. Wait a minute, man. What is you mixed message sending mofo? We will keep up the good fight, and I believe we will prevail. Nevertheless, in the best interest of our country, I'm recommending that Emily and her team do what needs to be done. Oh man, I should have kept her on so we'd talk about this. How can you do both? Two things can be true? Is that the thing? How you keep up the good fight, but we're gonna let y'all move in? I don't get it. You ain't really won, homeboy, but look, here the keys, man. You come on around back, bring your shit through, set it down or whatever, but don't be doing a lot of moving around or whatever. Just set your shit down, take these keys. You ain't really win, we ain't flushed it out yet. You feel me? But shut your shit down over there. Don't move around. Don't take the plastic off. You feel me? What? What in the world? Amazing. It gets better, y'all. And it's just Monday. It's just Monday. All right. Well, we're going to let that sit for a minute. Couple quick ones. I'm going to get y'all opinion on this. I tried to start some shit on Twitter today, but it didn't really work. Sometimes, sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. But I really wasn't really starting shit. I was really being curious. Last night I seen the commercial campaign. You get to watching something, and the way commercials are now, they do the whole series in whatever program you're watching. So you're going to see 5 or 6 of the same commercial, the whole program or whatever. So I saw the Target campaign, right? So Target has a new ad campaign with RuPaul as the headliner. We all know RuPaul, right? I have no problem with RuPaul. But there are a lot of people who believe that there's a marketing and a programming agenda for various reasons. And, this conversation of gender identity and non-binary and all that keeps coming up. And while I don't want to make this a conversation about that, I do have some questions. So I saw this commercial, right? So I'm watching RuPaul, right? So there's a liquor, not sure which one, Smirnoff, I think, who uses what's the individual from what's the they from Orange is the New Black? I know the name. Somebody's gonna put it in there. You know who I'm talking about. Anyway, so that beverage company uses the they from Orange is the New Black, right? And I was like, oh, that's cool. You can't really have a comment or an opinion about that because you're a phobe immediately on social media, even if you want to make jokes, even if it's a terrible commercial. Laverne Cox, there you go. Thank you, RA315. So Target, yesterday I'm watching and I see RuPaul. We know RuPaul. He's been around for damn near 30 years, right? If you'll never see RuPaul and Mark Curry, hanging with Mr. Cooper in the same room. But anyway, so it was RuPaul as RuPaul. I don't even know his real name. As RuPaul, as the feminine binary, I guess. I'm still learning. Don't want to offend. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, okay. Oh, all right. And then 2 commercials later, it's the same ad campaign, but a different commercial. And it's Mr. Paul. It's Mr. Ru as a man in the commercials. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I said, that's pretty subversive. I said, that's deliberate. And then I had an opinion. So this is what he looked like in the commercial. This is what they look like in the commercial. And so first thought, right? Everybody right now that's looking and is typing furiously. Well, I don't see the problem with it. All right, we're not talking to you right now. Put that aside. Don't hit enter. We're not talking to you. We know you want to be seen and heard. So to everybody else, it's not that I had a problem with it. I was just confused. Because for me, I feel like this weakens the argument. Like the whole identity, preference, orientation, and whatever else the correct terminology is, I'm non-binary. For me, if I was to try to have understanding and clarity, this kind of cheapens it for me. Because I'm like, oh, now you playing both sides. No pun intended. Now you just, so wait a minute. Does the whole identity thing adjust from day to day or based on the money? Like, I don't know. There's something inappropriate about this whole, this presentation right here. I didn't get it. So we had to change, those of us who don't understand the positioning, the terminology. We've had to change our lingo to be tolerant and accepting. But I'm like, this is cosplay. Like, how would I look at this and say, well, you just cross-dressing, and then you tell me that I'm insulting or being offensive when you're literally in the commercial ad campaign cross-dressing. So I just needed help understanding, because I was like, how is this okay? How does this help the cause or the case? Or what message is this really sending? Just be what you want whenever you want. Oh, there we go. I just saw that in the chat. There you go. Yeah, I just thought this was interesting. So then the joke was, because on social media, you had to be very careful. I had to turn my scrutiny into observational comedy. So my punchline was, and then I'm gonna move on, is that RuPaul's a smart guy. He was a smart individual, and he knew he did the commercial as both because he know women get paid less. All right, moving on. That was a curious moment for me last night. I was like, huh? I like, if you have literally, you're probably the reason, even before Laverne, there is no Laverne Cox without RuPaul. You're probably the most iconic gender fluid individual out there in entertainment. And you've pushed for the right to be recognized and acknowledged as a woman, to live as a woman. But how then do you play around in a commercial? I don't know. It was something about that. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe since I ain't in the culture or I'm not tolerant in many people's eyes, I should just take it for what it is. I would. I don't know what it is. All right, let's keep it moving. We might have to talk about that on Twitter again, if people are mature enough, which I don't think they are. All right. So one more. Where'd it go at? Oh, I don't know if I didn't even pull this story up, but it was interesting. Did y'all see the one over the weekend with the dude with the 7 necks? Went on that racist tirade against the Lyft driver. So him and his wife got fired. So there's that. That's exciting, I guess. I still feel like in those videos, oh, what happened? The alphabet people's got me. Oh, wow. What's the last thing y'all heard? I'm back on. What's the last thing that y'all heard? Am I back? Am I back? I don't know. I might have hit the wrong button. That might have been me. Was that the people's though? Did they get me? Can't talk about the talkabouts. Now I got all G's. Well, I guess not those G's. Okay, I feel like, yeah, so I feel like Americans don't negotiate with terrorists. So all this videotaping of white people being racist, man, put that camera down, man. It's too much back and forth. Well, why are you talking to me this way? And you shouldn't use the N-word and all that. It's too much. All right, next story. Oh yeah, it must have been me. I must have hit a button. John Watson says that was because the logo was still up. All right, I was trying to close that window, and maybe that's what happened. So y'all can find that story on your own. Not even interested. So next story, last story. Now this is what I was talking about in the beginning. For those of us that travel, or those of you who are still traveling or want to travel and just got the courage to maybe jump out there, this story is for you. All right, we're gonna have to read this together. It's not a short story. So pay attention to the headline and the details of the story. All right, let's read it together. It's been an awesome show. This time is just moving, man. That's what I like. This one, you know, it's going good. All right, here we go. Stand by. All right, let's read this. So here's my dilemma, man. I've just reached a point where we have just entertained traveling again, trying to figure out where can we go and still be safe, but be out the way, but be somewhere different, but not worry and be annoyed. And like we started the wheels, moving, because every time I look up, man, y'all somewhere different. Every time I look up on my timelines, y'all are just out there at a bar with your feet in the water or on the sand or whatever. I'm like, what? How? Where you from? You ain't got no TV where you at? Because the TV where I'm at said don't do nothing. So maybe I'm just a noisy individual. But anyway, we just start, at least getting the wheels in motion in our head. Like we should take a trip. And then I see this today. This is from The Independent out of the UK. Headline is: passenger infected 4 others on a flight after testing negative. 7 passengers tested positive for COVID after the flight, after they landed. All right, let's break this down. It's a lot of information here. I'll try to get it all. A passenger who had tested negative for coronavirus before a flight went on to infect 4 others during the journey. A total of 7 passengers sitting in relatively close proximity to one another ultimately tested positive for COVID-19 following the flight. This is coming out of New Zealand's Institute of Environmental Science and Research. The passengers, here's my conspiracy hat. My radar went up right here. The passengers had traveled from different parts of the world to converge on the flight departing from Dubai on 29 September. The destination for the Emirates flight was Auckland in New Zealand, with a 2-hour refueling stop in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, where none of the passengers got off or on the aircraft. New Zealand had really, really, really low numbers from what I remember. And somehow this flight with people from all over the world, which you could say that's normal. I don't know. That raised the flag for me. I was like, all right, let's get into the real details. The report identified the 7 passengers as A through G. Of these, A, B, C, and D, and F had all been tested in their home countries within 72 hours, and they all tested negative. And while during the flight, mask use was not mandatory, passengers A, B, D, F, and G self-reported mask and glove use on the plane, while cases C and E did not, but they were all sitting together. So New Zealand currently has them on a 14-day quarantine for all international arrivals. So all 86 passengers on board the flight were taken to quarantine centers where they were tested on the 3rd and 12th day of their stay. Passengers A, B, C all tested positive during their first screening in New Zealand once they landed. All other passengers tested negative at this stage, but in the days that followed, several more passengers tested positive for COVID ahead of the second screening. So between 3 and 10 days, either because they were showing symptoms or because they had been identified as being in close proximity to the other passengers. Based on, look, this way gets complicated. You can look at this. I don't know if you can see it, but based on the timeline of who exhibited symptoms when, the seating plan and genome, and I can't see y'all right now, so can't see y'all in the chat. The seating plan and genome sequencing of the virus, researchers posited that passengers A and B were likely to have carried the virus on board. Now, this is some serious contact tracing right here. They said within this group of 7, 2 cases were likely the index cases before the flight. 4 cases were likely infected in flight, and the remaining 1 case was likely infected in the quarantine area of the airport. All 7 cases were seated within 2 rows of the presumed index and were in aisle seats. However, the report also adds that it does not definitively exclude an alternative exposure event, such as transmission occurring at Dubai airport before boarding, for example, during check-in or in boarding queues. All right. I think that's most of it. Here's the thing. Let's dig this. Come back so I can see y'all. That's scary, man. I mean, even if you try to be the type that's like, all right, you gotta live your life. I ain't really scared. I'm taking all the precautions. Man, that scenario shows that I hate to say this. I ain't the doomsday type. Really nothing you can do. It's really nothing you can do. Other than sitting your ass down for 14 days every time you speak to somebody. That's it. That's the only thing you do. Every time you talk to somebody outside, a new 14 days has to start. That's the only way. And they saying travel this weekend, although they've told you on the news, don't go nowhere. They said travel this weekend is going to be absolutely through the roof. Man, that just, how do young people say? That took me out. John say, I got distracted looking at Pamela Anderson on the right. I don't be believing them little ads on the side. That can't be her. I'm not gonna do it. That's clickbait. And you click on it and be like, yeah, Pam Anderson's mom. I'm not buying it. That's not her. But anyway, so what y'all think about that, man? Like what that do for you? So Jay Elite, who travels often, she said, I took a test before leaving Dubai and the US didn't check anything. And these people, 4 out of 7 of them were wearing masks the entire flight. 3 of them was just like, nah, we good. So 2 bring it on the plane, 4 get it on the plane, and then 1 get it in quarantine after the plane lands. That's crazy, man. And they said, so here's the other thing now. So let's walk it back. Let's not be so scary. They said also that particular flight is the longest running flight in operation at this time. So your little 2-hour, 4-hour flights, you still may be good. That's an 18.5-hour flight airtime. That was also, I didn't get to that in the article, but I read that part. So I guess they said that as kind of a caveat to like, look, I mean, you're basically at 18 hours, you're in a test tube in the sky, you're in an incubator. So that could have, moving around and the cabin air circulating and you went to the bathroom and you went to sleep and your mask slid off. It's a lot of factors that can happen in 20 hours that wouldn't necessarily happen on a 2-hour plane flight somewhere close. So there's that. So it's kind of, but when I read it, I was like, man, that's scary. That's scary. All right. So there it is. How was y'all weekend, man? Oh, where? Oh, okay. That's what's up. Yeah, maybe I'll hear more about it tomorrow. All right, there it is, folks. There is, that's the end of the show. We have reached the time. We're actually overtime. Won't be able to squeeze in Roland Martin. I appreciate it again, Roland. You and your staff so accommodating, for being so patient. We'll try to squeeze you in at another time. On behalf of Ikie Shabazz, man, Ikie Speaks, author, professor, mom, and former federal prosecutor, criminal defense attorney. We appreciate you for coming on the show, Mr. Clarkson. Appreciate all your hard work. In the chat with information, John Watson, all fun and games. Good to see y'all. And the rest of the Peanut Gallery, hope to see y'all tomorrow. Feel free, if you enjoyed the show, donate to, where is it at? Right here on your screen now, $ Lamont King 06. And make sure you subscribe to me on all social media. I'm going to keep the settings like this on the mic because it sounds real crisp. My S's and P's is popping. Got a little baritone in the voice. You know what I mean? Coming through on the, I'm going to just do a whole show and just be like, with the new mic setting. So there's that. All right, man. Y'all be safe, man. Stay out of trouble. And don't watch too much of the news, man. It'll fry your brain.